Hey everybody, Lee Livesay here, Bassmaster Elite Series angler. We're going to talk about something that I love to do, that you probably love to do, and that's throwing topwaters. Not just topwaters in general, but what kind of topwaters? You know, frogs, walking baits, popping baits. Are you throwing mono, braid, fluorocarbon? What are you throwing? We're just going to dig in and kind of go over those three right there. So when I'm throwing a frog, it's always going to be on braid, 100% of the time. You know, I throw Sunline FX2, it's called frogging and flipping braid. I frog with that only. I use 60 pound about 90% of the time. Sometimes at places like Rayburn or Toledo Bend, when it's just like super thick, flooded, the lakes real high, and I'm throwing in the nastiest stuff in the world and catching really big fish, I'll go up to 80. But besides that, I throw it on that FX2 frogging and flipping braid in 60 pound test. A lot of people like 50, but you could break 50 in some thick stuff with a big bass in Texas, so I like the 60. That's it. 100% of the time, I'm throwing that 60 FX2 frogging and flipping. So when I'm frogging, you know, I mainly throw two different rods, depending on whether it's just, you know, sparse cover, target casting, whether you're skipping docks or throwing around isolated pads. I'm throwing a Halo KS2 Elite 7.2, medium heavy. That's it. That's all you need to get them out. And then when you see me around, you know, really heavy matted vegetation, huge mats of hydrilla, cheese, big pad fields, stuff like that where you have to pull those fish out, I'm throwing the same rod, the Halo KS2 Elite, but in a 7.9 extra heavy. That just gives you the leverage and power to pull those fish out of the mats. Same line on both setups, both rods, all the lines the same, you know, that same FX2 frogging and flipping braid. Then my next, probably one of my most favorites, is just a walking style bait. This is a 6-inch Dogma. There's all kinds of brands out there. On a walking style bait, you know, you saw me at Lake Fork catching, you know, 40 pounds of bass on one, and then you saw me at Champlain smashing big smallmouth with them. It's pretty similar, a little bit different on the line and rod setups, and I'll tell you about some hook differences too. I like to throw it on a Halo HFX 7-foot medium cranking rod only. I throw my big ones, my little ones, smallmouth, largemouth, all on that rod. But the braid, I'm still throwing the FX2 frogging braid only, that same braid, but in 40 and 50 pound test. 40 and 50 is about the same casting wise. Just if you're around some really thick timber or grass close by is when I'd go up to 50, but I really love the 40 frogging and flipping braid for my walking baits. Hooks, I love, you know, Gamakatsu EWGs when I'm fishing for largemouth, and I like Gamakatsu G Finesses when I'm fishing for smallmouth. That EWG just lets me get the lip of a largemouth a little bit better, and those smallmouths are just crazy. They slash at it a bunch, and those G Finesses just hook them really good. You know, when you're throwing a walking bait like this, a lot of people love to put a little monofilament leader in front of it, and that helps. Some people that just don't have the walking down and that treble hook's hooking that line, hey, that's cool, but myself, I go straight braid to every one of them. You know, if you're having problems with your hooks, hooking your braid, you're probably you're jerking a little bit too hard. You're trying to pop it too hard, work it too fast, and it's getting a little sloppy and hooking that hook. Straight braid is fine. That's what I use. I don't want anything in there that could break. That braid's never gonna break. Another advantage to throwing the braid with the walking bait for me is, you know, I'm making really long casts with a walking bait usually compared to a frog or a popper. Really long casts mean, man, a lot of those fish are gonna bite it way out there. And you need that braid because it has no stretch. It allows you to hook those fish way out there on the end of a cast and fight them in. You know, that's just another advantage to not, you know, I throw the 40 to get way out there, but the braid has no stretch, lets you hook those fish and get them in the boat. That's just another reason why I go straight braid on the walking baits. And then on to just popper style baits. And I'm gonna kind of put two baits in the popper category. I'm gonna put a popping style bait and a prop style bait. Both of those, you're usually not making as long as of a cast as a walking bait. It's a lot more target oriented usually, you know, whether it be a riprap bank, along a seawall, a stump, isolated patch of something, you know, it's more target oriented, a little bit more open water. And when I'm throwing my poppers and my prop baits, I'm throwing them on monofilament. You know, I love Sunline Supernatural 20 pound mono for all my popper baits and prop baits. You say, why mono on that compared to everything else? Like I said, you're in a little bit more open water, usually target oriented. Mono floats, just like the braid does. It's very buoyant. You don't want to throw fluorocarbon on your poppers or any other topwaters because it sinks. It'll bring the front of your bait down and dive in the water. So I throw mono, obviously because it's real buoyant, floats, allows you to work that popper real slow, keep it around that target, whether it's a stump or a rock, whatever. And it has stretch. You know, fish are notorious for blowing up on a popper real hard or just barely slurping it down and just getting 1 or 2 hooks in them. And that monofilament allows some stretch. You know, it allows you to keep those fish pinned up. You don't need the braid to make real long casts because usually poppers are a little bit lighter, a little bit smaller, and like I said, target oriented. That's why I throw the mono on it. Rod and reel setup, high speed gear ratio reel like always. I throw it on a Halo HFX 610 medium graphite rod that allows me, you know, pretty accurate cast with a stiff rod, but still having that medium power to hook those fish, pin them up with that mono, and get them in the boat. But that's my setup for my popping style baits. You know, it shows you the difference between throwing a popper with mono, walking bait with braid, and your frogs with braid as well. Different rod setups, line setups, and hook setups. Maybe that'll help you out there to put some more fish in the boat for you, because we all love a good topwater bite, no matter where we're at in the country.